Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. And today from McFarlane Toys in their DC Multiverse line of action figures, we have Superman as he appears in DC Future State. Alright, so I'm going to come clean. I don't know anything about this version of Superman. So DC Future State was kind of like an event they did, I want to say, maybe a little under a year ago, or maybe a year ago. I kind of dropped out of my DC comic books when they started doing Future State. Future State came out towards the tail end of the Joker War, if you're familiar with that storyline in the Batman series of books. So what we have here is Superman. It's a very, 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 very different take on Superman. He looks like, how do I best describe this? When I first saw this in a store, the first thing I was kind of reminded of was Frank Miller's 300. More specifically, the live-action movie, not necessarily the graphic novel. It kind of looks like Superman's in some sort of, like, I don't know, gladiatorial armor. And it looks like he's kind of like in shackles also, which kind of reminds me of the movie Gladiator, or the story of Spartacus, or if you're into the really cool TV show Spartacus, kind of reminds me of that. He comes with a battle axe, a pretty cool looking shield with a logo that's kind of reminiscent of kind of looks like the Kingdom Come Superman logo in some ways. And that logo again is repeated on his chest. It looks like some sort of armor plating. On the back, you get some really cool action figure photography of Superman. So yeah, it's a neat looking figure, but like I said, I have no familiarity whatsoever with this version of the character. If you happen to know anything about this, feel free to leave the 411 in the comments down below. I'd greatly appreciate that. Ideally, I could have just jumped onto Google and just looked it up myself, but I was kind of excited to like check out this action figure and, you know, get straight to it. So I purchased this figure at my local Walmart. So if you're on the hunt for this, good hunting. I do believe he's also on Amazon. So if you want, you could check out Amazon, see if he's there. First impressions of the figure. Alright, so from what I'm looking at right now, his flesh tone is a lot more vibrant on video than it is in person. In person, it's a little bit duller, but for some reason on my video it's coming off really, really nice. It doesn't look this vibrant in person, so you know, don't be misled. The flesh tone is actually a little bit duller than what you're seeing on the video. It's a really weird costume too, so I don't know, it's a cool looking figure, but we'll examine it more closely soon. Here's the trading card display base. I'm digging this shield a lot. As you can see, it's really well done. There's a significant amount of scarring and battle damage to it. On the back, here are kind of like the straps. And again, there's the Superman logo repeated on the back. But it's weird though, because the logo, it looks like it's... Wow, that's odd. All right, so you can clearly see the S in the logo, like so, but then when you flip it over, the S is backwards. I'm not sure if that's an error, you know. But either way, it's cool. A lot of detail on the back. You can see the wood texture on the back of on the shield. Looks really nice. This battle axe looks beautiful. As soon as I was removing it from the plastic tray, my first thought was, these would be great accessories to like loan to your like Masters of the Universe figures. You know, whether you're talking about the Origins or the larger Masterverse or even the Classics line of Masters of the Universe action figures. I think these would be great accessories. You know, if you wanted to like mix them into that line, you know, give He-Man this shield or this axe, it'd look awesome. All right, so this bothers me. All right, so so with all McFarlane figures, they're always kind of tied down to the tray with these like plastic ties. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure if it's only my figure, but as you can see, the plastic tie was punched straight through the cape, damaging the cape. So already that kind of annoys me. That might just be my figure, but if that's not the case, I think it sucks. You know, there's no reason why I should have to buy this figure and it's like kind of damaged. So as you can see, the plastic tie was punctured straight through the cape. This cape is a really nice material. As I was removing it, this is one of the more standout capes where it's a thin material, and as you can see, it folds really easy. It's not very stiff. It's pretty flexible. It's a nice material, not too heavy, not too thick. I think this is a beautiful cape. It's kind of weird how the capes are kind of inconsistent across the board. Like some figures have really thick capes, others have very like stiff ones. This one's just right. It kind of flows a little. Like ideally, I've talked about this before, I prefer capes that are neutral, that just kind of flow straight down. This one's kind of like flowing in the wind a little bit, but it's not that bothersome. It makes the character look a little bit more dramatic. It's a weird costume too. It's taking me some time to get used to it. I'm kind of curious if you can remove this chest plate, and if it's a bare, if it's a bare-chested figure underneath. But it doesn't look like it. It looks like the armor plating is actually pegged into his torso. So if you're a customizer and if you had high hopes of removing this, revealing like a bare-chested figure, that's not the case. It looks like this thing plugs into the chest, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I think it plugs in. So same with the shackles on his neck, the collar. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's pegged into his collarbone right there and there. So this thing doesn't necessarily come off. The head sculpt is really beautiful. It's a really nicely done version of Superman. It's very different. It kind of reminds me. It almost looks like Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. He has a little bit of gray in his temples. I mean, on his side of his hair. So he looks a little bit more, I don't know, grizzled. He has some nice stubble sculpted onto his cheeks and his chin. It's a very gritty version of Superman for the portrait, it's interesting. I kind of dig that a lot. The collar piece is awesome, but again, I'm kind of turned off by the fact that you can see it pegged into the collar right there, and then right there into the collarbone. As I stated, the armor plating here is kind of like plugged into the chest. This thing doesn't come off. So it's kind of held in place with these fake looking chains that kind of wrap around his back right there. Pretty cool belt. He has no bulge, so I don't know. Cool looking shackles around his ankles and on his wrists. Yeah, it's a very interesting take on Superman. Like I said, I don't know anything about this character. If I had to guess, maybe he's kind of much like, Russell Crowe's Gladiator or Spartacus. Maybe he's like enslaved and he's forced to fight in the gladiatorial pits. I'm not sure. And it this figure kind of does give me those like 300 vibes. It feels very much inspired by Frank Miller's 300. But it looks, once you get the shield and the axe in place, you have to admit it looks really, really cool. A very, very cool looking version of Superman. Oh, this seems like something that'd be like right at home on, like Themyscira, Paradise Island with like the Amazonians and Wonder Woman. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I like this a lot. It it was, to be honest, it was weird. The first time I saw this figure online, I thought it was this weird. I thought it was weird in the store, but the minute I put on the shield and the axe, it kind of like pulls the whole thing together, and it kind of, some weird ways, it kind of like this makes sense. All right, just give me a second. I have an accessory I want to pull out real quick. Just for the hell of it, here's a Hordak, just for a size comparison. All right, I apologize about that. I just wanted to grab something because looking at this figure, it kind of reminds me of something that belonged like in He-Man. All right, so I don't have a Masterverse figure readily available. Oh wait, I do actually. All right, I have this guy. I didn't review this yet, but I just want to kind of gauge like a size comparison to give me a rough idea. He's kind of, I think, smaller than the Masterverse figure, but just to give you an idea of like the same scale of accessories, you could kind of see yourself blending these figures in together if you wanted to, which I think is kind of neat. So if you want He-Man to take on Superman, here you go. But one thing I wanted to do was, man, I'm making a mess. All right, so if you're into like WWE figures, some years ago, Mattel released a line of WWE action figures called, I think it was like Create a Superstar. And then so you could kind of like modify like the wrestlers. For example, there was like a I think like a Randy Orton, there was a Sheamus, there was a Roman Reigns. And they kind of had like certain themes based around their nicknames. And then you can also buy these accessory packs to like further accessorize these custom wrestling action figures. And one of the accessory packs included like gladiatorial armor. And I bought a couple of these, thinking I'd use these for customs. And I'm kind of thinking that it'd be kind of cool. Now this is this is like no longer about review on this figure, but I think it'd be kind of cool that if you're a customizer, remove this friggin' chest plate thing here, and if you could, maybe try replacing it with this Mattel WWE armor on top. And then, yeah, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. And then there was even a WWE Create a Superstar gladiatorial helmet. And, you can easily customize it and make like a friggin' Spartacus gladiator looking kind of dude. There's a company out there, I'm not sure which one. I see photos on Instagram every now and then. There's a company that makes these gladiator figures that are like 1/12 scale. And they look awesome. Maybe in the future I'll grab one of those and do a review. Yeah, but this Superman figure, it's like I said, it feels very gladiatorial-like. It feels like, it kind of fits into the world of like Spartacus or something. Or 300. That looks pretty cool. I kind of dig this. It feels like the one thing this figure is missing is a helmet. You got to put a gladiator helmet on him, and he's like good to go. Here he is next to 2000X Hordak's mini statue. These were the Staction figures, not the action figures, but Staction. These were produced by NECA and sculpted by the Four Horsemen. And these are almost kind of like the same height as Masterverse figures. I think they might be a little bit smaller, but the kind of, if you want Superman to take on Hordak, go ahead. All right, so how do I rate something like this? I don't know. I'm gonna be very generous and say 8.5 to a 9. The articulation looks like it's all there. It looks like it does everything it's supposed to do. You know, very stock, very standard for McFarlane figure. Full splits actually too. That's pretty cool. I don't know, this figure, I was very lukewarm to it, but the more I handle it, the more I see just like all sorts of possibilities with customs. And even if you're not a customizer, I think it's just a very unique take on the character. It's very odd. It really stands out. And if you have like a solid collection of the McFarlane Wonder Woman figures, I think this would be a nice figure to complement, you know, any of the Wonder Woman figures, just because of the theme of the costume. You know, this, like I said, this looks like a version of Superman that could like live on Themyscira with the Amazons and train with like, you know, Artemis or Wonder Woman or Hippolyta. Pretty neat figure. All right, so I'm going to wrap this one up. Do you need this in your collection? If you're a diehard Superman fan, I'm going to say, you know, why not? It's a very different take on him. I think most people might just pass on him, but then again, some people might pick him up just because he's so unique looking. All right, so wrapping this up, once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.